Hello and welcome to round two. Looks like we have lost the dice roll, which I think at least our initial build probably wants to win the dice roll. So, sim fail on that one. This hand's a little sketchy, so I'm going to keep it. That sounds 100% me. It would like a 2-drop. We have several in the deck. It would like another land. We have several in the deck. So as long as we don't continue to draw big things, we're probably fine. The hand hinges a little bit on this Lifespring Druid and on our opponent being a bit slow out of the gates. Provided those things happen, I think we're in pretty good shape. If they don't, bad things could happen. Skyline Cascade, I see what you did there. All right, so a Snapping Gnarlid or a McKindy Slide Runner would be fantastic about now. That is not one. Just in case our next draw is Island followed by... Well, no, I guess we're probably running out the Lifespring Druid anyway. Sad part is I don't really want to trade it with that, but I might. Like, I'm committing to taking 6, potentially 9 damage off of it if I don't. That's almost half of your life total, but we don't quite know what our opponent's doing yet. Are they the deck that wants to do blue-white flyer things and is valuing the core Castigator in that deck much like I do because it's a good blocker? Or are they like some sort of blue-white aggro deck? They could be Jeskai allies. We just don't know. We do know this guy has a cool hook and a beard. A tentacle beard. Just like way better than a regular beard, I guess. And apparently some sort of shirt that doesn't cover his torso, which is an interesting fashion statement, I suppose. These are the things you get to hear about when my opponent is taking a while. If you were wondering, Coastal Discovery was one of the few bad draws. Now, we can Druid into Coastal Discovery and Dirtle and draw some cards, but I don't think that's likely to do us much good. Sometimes when I feel like my opponent's double queuing, I'll just make a random stop and then F6. Just like, maybe I got something. You don't know. You don't know. Turns out I don't, but... Okay, it'll be interesting to see what they get here at Plains. That means they're probably not a multiple color deck. So, I'd like to trade something for that. If I'm willing to take another 4 damage and go to 13, I can play the Undergrowth Champion and start buffing it up, and it's going to be pretty good. If I'm not doing that, what am I doing? Like, this guy just kind of brick walls any sort of offense he has. I could just trade it. The question is, what's more valuable in a long game, a Lifespring Druid or an Undergrowth Champion? When I have the Coastal Discovery in hand, the Druid is probably more valuable. So I think I'm going to run this out and actually consider trading a Mythic Rare for a Common, which probably seems a bit odd, but may just be the right call. Like, I can potentially take 3 now, or I can just leave it back and never have to worry about it. Yeah, without him doing anything first, I think I'm just going to take the 3. All right, you got in 6 damage with your Castigator. That's what you put it in the deck for. And now we'll hope that we can just continue along with our happy life and block forever. If this Druid survives, a lot of possibilities are opened up to us. If it doesn't, we could be in a bit of trouble. It's not quite the end of the world. It's not good, but... Okay, him stopping attacking is a wonderful thing for us. Clutch of Currency an ally doesn't do a whole lot. Clutch of Currency a token is kind of interesting, but I think this is just where we either slam the Baloth because it can begin attacking, or we slam the Stalwart because then he never has attacks again. Like, if his plan is to overwhelm us at some point, that's fine, but I guess the Baloth kind of does the same thing. It's a big thing that can block and attack and do stuff. Like, at some point, we'll have to stop taking 1 damage a turn, but I think we're probably alright with that. So now here the question is, do I have any attacks with the Baloth? With Stone Fury up, I may. Like, he probably takes 6. He may just have, like, a destroy target attacking creature sort of effect, like a Gideon's Reproach. He could potentially trade this and 2 tokens for it. But, I mean, I'm kind of okay with that. I could also cast the Beastmaster first and just have the world's biggest guy. That might even be cool, since we're going to probably play the ally next turn. Because I don't think there's a... Like, if he wants to pile up this, this, and this in front of it, that's fine. I would make him put another token in front of it, too. Sure. Let's just cast all the things. Like, Encircling Fissure is one of the cards that would be potentially bad for us here. And we did pass one, so maybe it's relevant to think about that, but I think, well, that went fine. Does he have a charge? Don't have a charge. Stop with the charging of the things. Royal Spout. Well, that kind of sucks. Because pretty sure we're just dead. Like there's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, how about that? Okay, so we need to be a lot more defensive than I was against him. Turns out haste creatures that bounce guys are a problem. If I'm not the aggressor, then I'm probably again interested in siding into that blue deck. I don't think I actually need the Grove Rumbler, or maybe if I'm just going to be able to cast it, it doesn't block as well. And the Broodhunter Worm doesn't really do much either. I could see running something like this. So we're basically just splashing for the Outnumber and the Valakut Invoker. But I think we would want all of the Tightening Coils against him, because it just answers a bunch of his crap. I don't even hate a Volcanic Upheaval, but that's not like super great on its own. So we could probably just run the 2 mountain special. Oh, get another one in there, please. I want all 18. I think I'm okay with this. We just have to be super defensive against him. The other option is to play what we had and just try to stay aggressive, but I think he's got the better aggressive deck. We don't have a way to deal with an enchantment, so that's probably not a consideration here. We could consider a Dispel, but that's not going to beat a Royal Spout. I mean, he's presumably got some Trixes, but... Is the Grove Rumbler just a better Baloth? It may be if we can cast it, but it still just trades for that stupid Castigator. Maybe I don't need the Wavewing Elemental against him and we can just play the Rumbler there because it's presumably something we can play earlier. I think that's reasonable. Let's try this. I would like to play first. This hand looks keepable, but questionable. Like a 2/3's fine. It's not great. But if we draw a forest and or mountain, I think we're probably in really good shape. Like if I could trade one of these islands for either of the other 2 colors of mana, I think we'd be way better off. Tightening Coils is safe. Like it can answer one of his 3/1 dudes if that's what he's got. Or we could just draw exactly what we need. And it'd be great. Hey look, something that deals with a flyer. Now, the downside is he can just put a Scion in front of it and shrink our dude, but the upside is we get to eat a free Scion. Like I don't really care about his flyer there, so I think we're just going to run out the old 2/3 Stalwart. Okay, so we are no longer having a ground battle, is what we are learning here. Although maybe we are. Maybe we are. Like, just getting this guy big enough and being able to Coral Helm guide him could finish off a game. Does that mean we want to potentially plummet this so that we don't take damage? I mean, the downside is he can go 2 and 2 and kill our Coral Helm guide. So that's probably not a long-term avenue for success. He's also potentially got a lot of mana. I'm almost assuredly casting the Beastmaster next turn. The question is, do I attack with this and trade a Scion for a pump? Yeah, if the Coral Helm guide plan is off, then that's probably worth doing. And I think I coils that. I mean, he's showing blue-white now. That could be something else entirely. I think I'm actually going to run out the guide. If he wants to spend his whole turn equipping and doing that, that's fine. And if he doesn't, the guide can potentially get in for some damage next turn with the Beastmaster. The argument was that it could potentially re-trigger the Beastmaster on another turn. But if that's his whole turn, we get a decent-sized hit in next turn. Classic red mana deck. Like, suddenly spending 4 mana for basically nothing probably doesn't seem so good. Got your mana for nothing and your pathway arrows for free. What are you doing? You're playing Obligate Herder. Okay. Well, what happens to you if I coils that and it can't really block effectively? I don't think that leaves you in really good shape. Like, I get that we're giving him a 0/5 wall, so he could block this, and he could block this, and then he could take 5. I kind of like our opponent taking 5. So let's get them coils going. Swing in for the damages. Play our other Invoker and kind of see what comes around. Because, like, we draw another ally, this starts to get pretty good. We draw one of our bigger flyers, this starts to get good. Like, that little elf ally guy would be pretty hot here. Alright, you are infiltrating. We've got to remember he's got a ping up here as well, which can do a thing. I said this would be a good draw, and I think it is. So it's got to be combat damage, so he can't just ping to ingest. So if I play this, what happens? And we swing. He probably goes similar blocks to last time and was planning on using this to some effect and can't do it. Because this is an Elf Warrior ally and pumps all of our team by 1. So, like, he can trade this and the mana for the Oran Reef Invoker, but I'm kind of alright with that. Like, the probable blocks are here, here and trade, and then here and just block and take 6 going to 3. It seems fine when we've got flyers and more dudes than he does. Does this not work like I think it does? Oh, he can ping it so that it doesn't actually deal enough damage to that one to kill it. So he's baiting me to put that guy first so that he can ping and remove a counter. And then just chumping here, which is absolutely fine. It means he's taking 6 damage going to 3 anyway, and we're still going to trade for this guy. So that seems just great. Like, as long as we leave this first, we're going to kill that one way or the other. It does mean he gets it off the table, but it leaves him with not a whole lot against us. I mean, he does have 4 cards in hand. I suppose they could be good ones, but like, we're basically a mountain away from being able to do terrible things with this. I feel like we're in good shape. Could be wrong, have been before. His deck seemed way better game 1. It's like an aggressive defensive deck. Rush of Ice targeting our Beastmaster. Okay. And no attacks is fine. So if I coils this guy, I can get in for 2 and then probably finish the game off next turn. Is there a better way to do that? Let's say I coils this. He blocks, and trades. Yeah, that's just not good. So let's just use this to get in the damage. Because that means he's got to deal with this guy and our Beastmaster next turn, which is probably going to be difficult for him. I guess he's just looking to see more information about the deck. He could roll spout our guy, but I think that kills him too. Oh, he has the combos. Going back up to 6. We have a game now, ladies and gentlemen. I thought we were just winning, but we were not. 2, 4, 6. So we need a couple turns here. We've got the chump blockers to do it. If we swing this turn, he eats this guy and takes 4, going to 2, and then we chump block that. And as long as he doesn't deal with this, we're fine. I don't really like the idea of my guy getting eaten, though. Oh, he doesn't. He dies, right? Wait a minute. Let's do the math. Stop being so excited, Travis. Do the math. This is an ally. It triggers the Beastmaster. He chumps that. He chumps this. He takes 3. 6. He takes 3 from each creature. 3 plus 3 equals 6. So I think what we should probably do is win the game. That seems way better than trying to, like, plan out some series of turns where we play for longer. I think I'd rather just win. It might just be crazy, but I think I like it. I definitely like the tightening coils now that we know he's playing shenanigans like this. We can consider some possible sideboard changes here. We could consider the Reclaiming Vines. That may just should be in here because he's shown us Retreat to Emeria, an Artifact, and Awaken cards. I think I actually like that. And I may like it over the Grove Rumbler. I mean, it gives us a little less interaction with the Natural Connection. We could also cut the Natural Connection and just depend on the wilds to get there, but I think this deck has enough interest in those things. And I'm actually going to bring in the Vines against that enchantment, against that artifact, against all of the things that he has. And I like Tightening Coils as our removal spells. It still leaves us okay on creatures when you consider the Clutch of Currents and the Coastal Discovery are pseudo creatures. You know? Yeah, I think we'll go with this. Let's give it a spin. Especially on the draw, we've got to be careful about getting run over. This hand can survive getting run over. It just got even better. Like, we could consider tightening coilsing that, because presumably he has a reason to ingest us, but I kind of just don't care. Watch him, like, just blow us out with a bunch of ingest cards, but it didn't, like, his deck initially seemed like a deck that was very interested in attacking on the ground. And that's not what he's doing here. So downside is, if we don't cast this natural connection, we can't get big stalwarts. We could get value from the Coral Helm Guide. I'm going to go ahead and attack and see what happens here. Like, this is also good after the Territorial Baloth. So I think I'm just going to cast the guide. There's a possibility that we draw a mountain off the top anyway. And if he's not going to put us under any pressure, like, we can just keep attacking for 2, 4, 6, etc. Okay, Incubator Drone kind of stops the beats, and I think puts us in a position where we do want to use the natural connection and then power out the Stalwart, because that can attack into his shenanigans. Yeah, I think I'd rather do that, and just, he can go ahead and ingest another card. I don't have to do it first since we've got 2 mountains in the deck. We don't have to worry about him ingesting our only one, for example. But all of his processor cards are already turned on, so I don't really see any downside for letting him have it. Well, there's that. But, I mean... So he's got infinite mana. We do have spells that can deal with them, though. Like, do I want to play a Baloth, or do I want to just, like, Tightening Coils that and play a Stalwart? I probably want to go with that. Like, we're eventually going to get there with unblocked shenanigans. And I think at this point we save the coils for the Ruin Processor, which is almost assuredly coming now. Magic is an interesting game. Retreat to Emeria. That's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem. That's potentially going to kill us. Yeah. So we're going to need to deal with this quickly. Drawing our Reclaiming Vines would be good. I don't want to trade this guy, but I may have to. Like, it seems natural to just eat one and take the rest of the damage, but that may not be the right call here. Like, what happens if I double block this and let him have the, say, the Coral Helm Guide for it? Because I don't think that's our path to victory anymore. Our path to victory is stabilizing and then getting a flyer in play. The 2/3's looking good as it can start blocking. So I think maybe something like this and something like this is probably where we want to be. Yeah, maybe the right call was just to not let him ingest. We knew he had the Blight Herder. And that plus the retreat is really bad. So if I draw the Vines and kill this, we're sort of in good shape. If I don't, I can at least get the Baloth down and have 2 things that can just eat these tokens. So I think this is what I have to do. I don't particularly like it. But I also don't like just dying. I mean, that seems kind of bad. So I can play the Baloth and potentially save a land. I'm not sure that that does a lot. But it's probably worth doing. Not when I'm trying to get to 8 for an Invoker. I'm just going to play it. It sucks, but whatevs. We can block tokens. Oh gosh, don't do the thing. Stop doing the thing. Why would you do a thing? What? What? That's absurd. Absolutely absurd. Okie dokie. So as it turns out, there really is a blue-white ingest processor deck. I didn't love our deck, but I felt like we were in good shape right up until the Blightherder Retreat quarantine field. So I feel like the right call may have been to just like recognize that the Mist Intruder is a threat, even if it doesn't seem to synergize with what you know about your opponent's deck. I probably just didn't give it enough credit. We saw 2 cards that it enables. They're significant and board affecting and like do a thing. So it was probably worth taking that Mist Intruder a bit more seriously than I did. Either way, we certainly got there. I mean, Quarantine Field is just going to win games. I don't know many decks that can survive a 3-for-1, but that was an interesting round and an interesting deck that we ended up with. Would be interested to hear your thoughts about the deck in the comments if you would post below. And if you were digging what you were seeing, you can always catch me over on Twitch. I'm at twitch.tv/Simulan. Thank you for watching the draft and games here on SeemsGoodMagic, and we'll see you next time, folks.